Diary of a Physicist Farmgal, and this is episode number 39. My name is Deborah, and I'm coming to you from here on my family farm in the foothills of the Arkansas Ozarks, where I like to do all the crafts. I knit, I crochet, I sew, I quilt, I make baskets, I make jewelry. I'll try any craft once and twice if I like it. I am also a professor of physics and astronomy at a local university where I teach classes to physics majors. I teach general education classes about minorities in STEM. I'm also a volunteer minority faculty mentor, and I do planetarium shows for school groups. And I am a third-generation family farmer. I live here on my farm that my family has lived on for over a century. And I raise grass-fed beef cattle, I raise horses, and I also have heritage poultry and rabbits, and I have a retirement herd of miniature horses, miniature donkeys, and a miniature mule named Pumpkin who thinks she rules the roost. Plus, now we have Penny the pig, Penny the potbelly pig, and, surprise, 21 ducklings. Make way for ducklings. And as you can tell from my adorable, sweet co-host Willie here, I am fur kid mom to 14 dogs, 7 indoor cats, and an undetermined number of outside cats. So if any of all of that sounds interesting to you, I hope you'll not go to sleep like Willie wants to do and join us for episode number 39 of Diary of a Physicist Farmgal. Well, if you're a new viewer, I sure do welcome you to the funny farm, and if you're a returning viewer, thank y'all for coming back. I appreciate my very loyal viewers who always have wonderful things to say, and I sure appreciate you hanging with me through the spring break vlog. There was no crafting in that, it was all farm stuff. So I hope you enjoyed a little glimpse into the farm here. We are working several different make-alongs, which I'll tell you about in just a few minutes. But if you're looking for me on social media, you can find my farm Facebook page, the same as my YouTube channel name. It is Buckthorn Farms. You can also find my personal Instagram and Ravelry username is Doc Firewoman. And there is a Ravelry group for the podcast, Diary of a Physicist Farmgal, where you can find out about make-alongs and giveaways. And I am dreadful. Emily Marianne, your package is ready. I just got to get to the post office when they're open. Gotta love living in a small town. And I would mail it from campus, but everybody that I've talked to about mailing things from campus says, oh no, don't do that. Don't do that. So I'm a little reluctant to mail it from campus, but I should be able to get it in the mail on Friday here at my local post office. But I am also on Twitter, but I am a pretty socially left-leaning liberal Democrat. So if that kind of thing gives you heartburn, best probably stay away from Twitter. The rest of the place, I keep things like that to a dull roar. So we'll hope you'll find us there. We are currently running several make-alongs in the Ravelry group. The first one that I will mention is Creature Feature, and I'm mentioning that one because this is coming very quickly to the close of the end of our first quarter, which was Under the Sea. March 31st, the end of the day on the March 31st is the last time for you to post your Under the Sea creatures. And I will be doing a pattern draw from that group for a prize on April 1st. So make sure you get your little critters uploaded. I will also be opening an overall FO thread with the rules for that. Hopefully tonight. I've got to sit down and do some computer work tonight, so hopefully I will do that. The second one that I will tell you is the one that I also need to do some work on, and that is the Farmer's Almanac Make-Along, where I am taking inspiration to begin with from the old Farmer's Almanac for each month, and I am posting an informational post, which if you'll notice, I've fallen behind on April, but I'm going to work on it also tonight and get a post up. But the March post is there for your reading pleasure, and you can post just your whips. It doesn't have to be finished in that thread. And then I will also be opening a year-end FO thread for all of the inspirational things that you have made, where you will have one post with all of your finished objects in it for a physical prize drawing at the very end of the year. But with each month, I will give away a pattern prize, 1 or 2 or whatever I'm in the mood for, I guess. But anyway, so that's also available to you to participate in each month. Then we also have the I Like Big Shawls and I Cannot Lie, which is a jointly run make-along jointly with Vanessa from A Historian Knits podcast. Oh, I forgot to mention, the Creature Feature is jointly hosted by Laura from A Crocheting Whovian, who also runs a very fun virtual knitting night group on Friday nights on a platform called Zoom. If you're interested, please go check her group out, or let me know and I will hook you up with the information on how to join in on that group. It's a great place to get answers to lots of questions, and it's a good group. Unlike some other virtual knitting groups, you do not have to be working on a particular knitting thing when you're in there. We've had people working on baskets. I hung 10 on my kitchen wall one day while I was on there. So sometimes it's just good to have some company. So go check them out. I Like Big Shawls and I Cannot Lie, as I get back to the subject at hand. With Vanessa from A Historian Knits, we are doing a knit-along only. It's a knit-along only for shawls of over 1,200 yards plus. You can read about that on the Ravelry Group. And there is an FO thread already open. There is a whips and chatter thread plus an FO thread. I will periodically draw from whips for prizes, and then I will draw at the end of the year for a physical prize from the FO thread. There you get a post per FO, because if you're going to do the big old shawl, you deserve multiple chances to win. Then we also have the Kitter Getter Done. Kitter Getter Done is because I hoard kits like a dragon sitting on gold, and so I decided to do a make-along where I would be encouraged to use up some of my kits. So there is a thread for that, and it is a attempt only thread. You don't have to do FOs, but if you will post in there, and periodically I will draw for prizes from that. And last but not least, we have the Never Have I Ever thread, which is Never Have I Ever. It's where you learn a new skill, you try a new technique, you learn a new craft, you go outside your current comfort zone on your crafting, and it can be any kind of craft: soap making, basket making, knitting, crochet, I don't care. Let's just learn stuff. All right. So I'm not going to talk about the other groups' knit-alongs this week because I've got quite a bit I want to talk about. So we'll save that for next time. But I always post all my podcaster friends below, or podcasts that I think are cool to listen to. So you can go check out their Ravelry groups. There's a ton of cool make-alongs going on there. But now we're going to move on, and I'm going to talk about finished objects. Okay, my first finished object you've actually already seen when it was finished the first time, but now I have added a pom-pom to my Atomic Powered Science hat. This hat pattern is by Teresa Silver, or Argent Gal Designs on Instagram, and I was gifted this pattern by her for being one of her Instagram followers, and it's the old atom symbol. When you look at the top of the hat, it makes the old atomic power symbol on the top of the hat, and I surely love that because my area of expertise in science is stellar nucleosynthesis, which is how elements are made in stars. So I made a pom-pom. I got myself a pom-pom maker and made myself a pom-pom. The yarn is Chicken Coop Dyeworks on their DK, their hen DK base, and this colorway is called Dungarees, and it is a beautiful blue. It's a beautiful, rich, it's not quite royal blue. It's kind of a blue jean, beautiful blue jean, or chambray, dark chambray blue, and I really love it. And her yarn is gorgeous. So check her out also. Argent Gal Designs has several really beautiful patterns. I have several of her patterns that I want to make up, but this was the first one that I made. And so I finished that with the pom-pom. My next finished object is back here, and it's holding some of my acquisitions, so let me move some things here and grab it. I took a basket making class during my spring break with Sasha up at Lake Dardanelle State Park, and we made this leather handle storage basket. It's a very nice size. It's a square bottom basket. It's 10 by 10, and it's a wonderful size. It will actually fit in one of those cube shelf things. So it's a great storage size. It was a very quick make, and I'm actually going to order some of these handles because I think this would be really wonderful Christmas gifts. I'm going to stain this basket. I think I've got some natural colored stain, so I think I'm going to stain this basket that natural oak color when I get a chance. Oops. when I get a chance. So this was another one of my finished objects. It's just a flat reed woven basket, and it's actually would be a fairly beginner friendly basket, with the exception of you have got to get this base super tight. I mean super like almost watertight tight to get it to fit right. So that took some time, but this is one of my other finished objects. Put that back there. Then last but not least, I have finished my Prosperity Pig. My Prosperity Pig, and I was going to look this pattern up, but a Little Bamboo Creations, or Little Bamboo Crochet, I believe is the name of the designer. I will link it down below. This is my Prosperity Pig. This was my February Farmer's Almanac for the Lunar New Year, for it being the year of the pig, and I have finished the little dragon toy here. You saw everything from here down on my last podcast, but now he has a little curly tail. And I have finished his little face, and he now has his little dragon toy. So, little dragon dancer toy there. You can see all the layers of complexity that it has. And so I'm very tickled with this. This is the most complicated amigurumi I've ever made, and I'm very pleased with how it's turned out. So I'm very proud of this, and he is definitely going in the fair. He will probably go in the holiday other division, I think. Maybe, we'll see. So, but he is definitely headed to the county fair. So anyway, so that's all my finished objects for this week. So now we're going to move on and talk about works in progress. Okay, I'm going to start with my sewing works in progress. This is one of my Kidder Getter Dones here. You saw my little pumpkin basket before. Now I have put him all together, and I've layered him, and I've done the blanket stitch around the top and the bottom. I need to steam him a little bit so he stands up a little bit better. And I've also prepared the handle. Where'd it go? It's stuck down here. Oh, I've prepared his handle to put on. Okay. So all I have left to do is, there are a lot of leaves that go around. Let's find this picture. There are a lot of leaves that go around the top of the basket. So I need to get those cut out and blanket stitched and put on. And then I need to paint the little button that's his nose, and he will be a finished object. So I'm very pleased with how he's turned out. I think he has a very sweet expression, even without his little nose. Oh, he's got a fuzz on him there. Get that off. Oh, that's a ladybug. Come here, ladybug. Oops. That's a dead ladybug. That's not good. But anyway, so here he is in all of his glory. I just need to, like I said, I need to steam him a little bit and make him fluff up a little bit, and then he will look really cute, I think. And that will definitely also be going to the fair. Some of my other sewing works in progress. I got the lining and the side seams sewed up on my little vest. I still have the hand stitching to do to close this up. This is a little printed panel Christmas vest. Well, let's get it turned around here where you can see what's going on. Okay. This is one of the little VIP panel Christmas vest. It's got Santa Claus here. Can you see? He's a little bit of a glare. There we go. Little cute Santa Claus on that side, and then on this side it just says joy, and it's got some stockings, and then on the back it has a snowman. I'm going to do some embellishing work on this, and this will also be going into the sewing division of the county fair. So I've got a little bit left to do on that yet. Then I started working on the wall panels, the autumnal wall panels. This is the little banner. I've got the backing sewed onto it. Okay, and so I need to stitch the top part closed, and then I'm going to fold this over and tack it down to make a hanging pocket, and I'm going to quilt this, probably by machine, very simply, and add some embellishments to it for a wall hanging for fall. So I like what it says. It says, autumn is the time to rejoice in Mother Earth's bounty and be thankful. I like that. So I like the little farm scene on it with the rooster, and then up at the top it's got the little scarecrow. So I got the backing and the batting on that. I also have the complimentary one to it here. This is another little wall hanging, and this is the same from the same panel, or from the same piece of fabric. You buy one, got both of them. So this is a little wall quilt, okay, and it says pretty much the same thing, except there's a little bit different here. If you'll notice, every now and then I have these little appliques of leaves on there. I couldn't tell you when I bought those things, but I've had them for probably about 20 years. I found them in my box, and I went, well, those are just perfect. And I actually found another package of them in the auxiliary craft room when I was moving things around to find for the ducklings. So I can put another, I might put that package on that other one. But so I've periodically have got these leaf appliques on here to make it just look a little more dressed up. So there's yellow ones and these burgundy ones. I thought there were some green ones. Maybe the green ones are the ones that I found in yonder. But anyway, so I'm going to get that quilted and get that ready for the fair also. So that'll be another nice entry for the fair. So, okay. Now, my other works in progress, I have a basket that I'm working on that you probably saw if you happen to watch my vlog. It is incredibly cumbersome to move. It is still in the back seat of my car, and it is nowhere near being done. I'm still working on the twill section, and I did not feel like bringing it in. So you'll just have to imagine in your mind. But I do have a couple of other fiber-related ones in my little Science Friends bag here. That was a gift. I am working on the Adirondack Wrap. Adirondack Wrap by Chiwe Rink, or One Dog Wolf. On she has a Instagram account, her own private webpage, and then she's on Ravelry. And this is a Lion brand kit, so this is another kit or get her done. It is made with the Lion brand mandala yarn. It was designed to be used with that. The way it's constructed is you make 3 of these pie pieces. You saw the one that I had completed last time, so there's my first wedge. I am 7 rows out from being done with my second wedge, or 7, I guess, rounds or rows. 7 rounds or 7 rows out from being done with my second wedge. And then I'll have 1 more to go to complete this. It is a very easy pattern. I would highly recommend it for a beginner. When you're done with all 3 of the wedges, then you sew them together, and then you put tassels on it, and you're done. So I've got about, like I said, about 7 rows left to do on this. That's my crocheting rather, at work. Like if I have before class or something like that, I'll take it with me and work on it for a few minutes before class. Okay. So, my other work in progress is the one I've been focusing on, that I did work on a little bit over spring break. It is the only thing fiber related that I worked on over spring break, and that is Hazel the Humpback Quail. Hazel the Humpback Quail by Bev Brattain. It is a knitted amigurumi. And I am knitting it just out of Lion brand yarn, or excuse me, Red Heart yarn. It's just a gray heather. And I am making a substantial amount of progress on it. The last time you saw her, she was down here by this pink marker. I did from between the pink marker to the Wonder Woman marker over spring break. And then I did from the Wonder Woman marker to the top the last 2 nights. So she is going to be a big amigurumi, and I am very excited to see her done. So this is where I'm at right now with her. I've got about, I think I'm about 40 rows or maybe 50 rows out on the body, but they're getting smaller. I'm magic looping. I've got to put her bumps on her nose with some French knots. Then I'm going to go in with duplicate stitch and add some white patches on her underbelly. Or probably light gray, actually. Light gray patches on her underbelly. Then I will stuff the body. And then I still have to make her tail and her fins. And then she will be done. I just cannot wait to see her. This is in worsted weight. The DK weight pattern said it made it about 26 inches long, so I'm guessing she'll come in about 30 inches. I don't know. She's already almost that. So I am very pleased with Hazel. I think this is going to be an amazing amigurumi when it's done. So, yeah, that's what I primarily have been working on. I love seeing these things come to life. You know, I really do. I am just smitten with them as they start taking shape, and they just drive me forward as I work on them. So that's all of my works in progress. So I'm going to come back and share a little bit of future crafting with you guys. Okay, well, my future crafting is not a whole lot different than it was last time. I need to get back to work on my Sea Life blanket because I've got 7 more blocks to make, plus I've got to get it put together, plus I've got to get the back put on it, which you'd think, oh, the fair is 6 months away. Fair is only 6 months away. So as I had said, these are my 2 next blocks. I've got the yarn for them. I just need to get started on them. I just kind of focused on Hazel lately. But even though the Under the Sea category is about to end, I still have 2 more patterns that I really want to make. And they are Hector the Hammerhead Shark by Adriana Aguirre. I don't know. I'm sorry. Aguirre, I believe. I'm not sure. Then the other one is the Whale Shark. And this is by Pawpaw. This is, I believe she's out of New Zealand, or he's out of New Zealand. So I want to make both of these before. These will be my next 2 amigurumis, will be this. Although Laura and I are going to cast on the earth. We found a really cute little earth amigurumi. We're going to cast that on, or hook that on, or start it, whatever, on Earth Day. But I've already got these started a little bit, and I've got them in my Women of Science bag that was a gift. It was a Christmas swap with one of my friends. She knows me well. Women of Science, yay. So, got that done. And then we'll just reach and get a surprise project in my mini bags of cast-ons. How about? So let's just fish for a surprise. You and I will be surprised together. I don't know what's in this one. Okay, so this is my By the Bay Yarn Co. Bag from East Texas Fiber Festival, and in it is the Just Feel Better shawl by Kalisha Ryan. I believe this is a free crochet pattern on Ravelry, so it's the Just Feel Better shawl. She has the Quirky Monday Crafts podcast, and I have started this just a little bit, and I am making this for Vanilla Sock Pig's Multiple Myeloma Make-Along, because it is mostly red. It's got red in this. This is a colorway from Chicken Coop Dyeworks on her Twinkle Toes base. You can barely see the sparkle in it, but trust me, it is there, called Wonder Woman. And this is also Chicken Coop Dyeworks, and this was last year's 4th of July colorway. It's called Fireworks. And I am crocheting those together into this shawl. So, yeah, so that, and actually I'm going to pick that up fairly soon, because that make-along it's running now through, I believe, the end of May. So, I'm going to do that. Then, I do have one more that I'm going to share with you, but it's going to be in acquisitions, so we're going to go on now and talk about acquisitions. Okay, first of all, in acquisitions, I'm going to show a few things and I bought these things with projects in mind, and then I'm going to show a couple of random things that I don't have anything in mind for. And I finally got myself some Diary of a Physicist Farmgal merch. So I'll show those first. This is a pair of very nice sock blockers from Knitting Left, and she did me a custom sock blocker. It's got my little logo. Whoops. Whoa, Mason Bee House. Sorry. Sit up there. Okay. My little logo here with Willie on it, and then my tractor and my moons and stars and my yarn ball. So she does a great job on her sock blockers, and she'll work with you on custom designs. So I highly recommend Knitting Left. there. Then my friend Tommy, who is the Pottery Wheel Shop, I think, on Etsy. I have talked about her before. I will link her shop down below. She first of all made these beautiful bee mugs, and I saw them and just fell in love with them and had to have one. So I got this one. And the beautiful thing about her mugs is they are dishwasher safe and microwave safe. So this is a beautiful, wonderful size, nice bottom heavy mug so it won't turn over. And you have seen yarn bowls that she's made for me in the past as well as mugs. But she made me a mug. Yay! See? It's got my logo on it. So I'm very excited about that. It's got a green inside. You can hardly see it, but it's green on the inside. So she made me this beautiful Physicist Farmgal mug. And then, oops, I knocked the end off my sewing machine. Then she made me a yarn bowl. So here is the yarn bowl. On this side, it's this beautiful blue-green. And then on the back, she put my logo. I love that. So she does a great job on her stuff. So I highly recommend her if you're looking for some nice ceramic mugs. She does beautiful designs, and no two are alike. I bought 3 of these bee mugs, 2 to give away as gifts, and then this one, and none of them were the same. They all had the same beautiful design on them, but the shapes were all different. So I highly recommend her stuff. She does beautiful work. Then I'll show a little bit of yarn that I got. Undead Yarn, Heidi, did a charity yarn, so Undead Yarn. She did a charity yarn for her little dog who passed away called Chumley. And she is donating proceeds from this skein of yarn to a local humane society. And it's really cool. It's kind of got these pops of kind of candy cane red with some gray and some brown. So it's a really neat colorway. It's very complex. And this is her 75-25 base, and it's 463 yards and 100 grams. So I'm very excited to be able to support her. And this is a pre-order that she is doing for the rest of this year. So you can still order this colorway and help donate to her local humane society. So I thought that was really cool. Then my friend Vanessa messaged me and said, hey, did you know that Stress Knits is doing a West Wing yarn club? And y'all know that I am a huge fan of the West Wing. Laura and Brenda from the Virtual Knitting Group and I are all big West Wing fans. So I had to immediately buy it. Sight unseen. I'm like, I gotta have it. So this is the first entry for Stress Knits in the West Wing Yarn Club, and this is it's 80-20. It's an 80-20 base, and it's 400 yards. It's her favorite base, and the colorway is called 4 Red Lights, and it's referencing when Josh and Donna were talking when Donna was talking about that her boyfriend had stopped for a beer when he was on his way to pick her up from the hospital. And Josh said, I wouldn't stop for a beer if you were in the hospital. And Donna said, I wouldn't stop for red lights if you were in the hospital. So this is the colorway, and I think it's a great neutral. It's kind of a really pretty cream and gray. And then every once in a while, there's some little subtle speckling of red and blue. So I think it'll be a great neutral. And in fact, I know exactly what I'm going to use this for. I've got something that I'm already wound for a project, but I think I'm going to set it aside and use this instead. So this is Stress Knits, and this is her West Wing Yarn Club, and it's a month-by-month club purchase. The last thing that I will show is I am going to make the Descent cowl, which is a cowl patterned after Ruth Bader Ginsburg's Descent collar. I've been wanting to make it. It's mosaic color work. And I had to wait until I found the right colors to make it out of. And I definitely have found them. They had to speak to the pattern. This is by Nerd Girl Yarns. And this is in her Eleanor DK base, which is 60% merino and 40% Romney. And these are Missouri raised Romney, I believe. So there's the two colors I'm going to use. The top one is called Votes for Women, and it's the colors of the suffragette movement. And the bottom one is I Don't Want to Be Fixed. And I thought those are perfect. As soon as I saw those, I went, yep, that's it. So I got those to do the descent cowl with. And then I also got from her colorways to do the hoarfrost cowl by, I think the descent, who's the descent cowl by? I can't remember. Carissa Browning, maybe? I can't remember. So I may be lying about that, but I'll post it down below. And then I thought, well, while I'm ordering from her, I'm going to go ahead and order yarn to do the hoarfrost cowl by Maria from Ninja Chickens. And so I ordered their Swanky fingering, which is 50% superwash merino, 50% silk. And these two colors are the colors I got to do the hoarfrost cowl in. This colorway is this beautiful gray called Abnegation. And then this one is called Back from Earth. And that color progression in there, I can just see it in that cowl, and I can't wait. So, yay. Anyway, dream big, right? Dream big. So those are my acquisitions. I kind of went a little project bag crazy too with my little mad money I had set aside, but I will show you those as I am using them. I'm not going to show any of those until I start using them, but I bought from my favorite April 9 designs. I also purchased from Utterly Adorable Knits, Republica Unicorn Yarns, and also from Fate's Threads. They're all on Instagram, and if you want to see their beautiful work, I highly suggest you follow them. So, because they all make beautiful bags, and I'm excited beyond words to get to start using them. So I can't wait. Because that means I can cast on more things and have more tote bags full of mystery started projects. But anyway, so that's all my acquisitions. So now we're going to move on and talk about science. Okay, well, at the university, when we come back from spring break, it's like, everything must happen right now. So, everything is happening. This week, we have Arkansas Academy of Sciences. We have Arkansas State Science and Engineering Fair. Next week, I don't think there's much going on, but then the next week, abstracts for the Student Research Symposium are due, and our Super Science Saturday Day Science Camp is happening, and then the next week is the Undergraduate Research Symposium, and then the next week is Girls of Power in STEM. Woo! And then the next week's graduation. So everything is happening in April, it seems like. So this Friday, I am judging the Earth and Space Science. I'm the lead judge for the Earth and Space Science category of the Arkansas State Engineering and Science Fair, which is where all of the regional fair winners come and compete for an opportunity to go to the Intel International Science Fair, which is a big deal. I've actually got some of my students that are going to be judging too, and I kind of twisted arms until I got a couple of young women to help me so that these young high school women could see young college women that are also doing science. We've also got Super Science Saturday coming up. Super Science Saturday you have heard me talk about before if you've been watching this for any time. It is our day camp for the kiddos from Community Connections, which is an organization that says every child deserves a chance to play. So special needs kids, whether they're physically disabled or are autistic or have developmental delays or whatever, they all get an opportunity to do things like play soccer or play football or act or write music or do science. We find a way to make it work. That's the mentality of Community Connections. And so this will be my 6th Super Science Saturday. This is our 3rd year to do it. Our 6th one, and I'm very excited. Our registration closed within a couple of days, so I'm very anxious to see how it goes. My students are all working very hard on getting things together for that. My research students are working really hard getting ready for the undergraduate research symposium, and also I am in the process of working on a grant so that we can go to the Winter American Astronomical Society meeting, which will be in Honolulu next winter. So I hope we can get that funded where the students can go, because yeah, it's Hawaii, which would be awesome, but also it is the biggest international meeting of astronomers ever in the world. You know, it is the meeting, and it would be good for my students to be able to go and meet people in the field. Plus also the historical astronomy division will also be meeting there, and we have done this work with the rock art that I would like to present as well. So we're working on that. My science sprinkle, as Jessica calls it, for today, I actually went outside and recorded some things about wild edibles, because there was a really neat article that came out about dead nettle. And this is the time of year when the dead nettle blooms, and I had a friend ask me what the difference between dead nettle and henbit was, and so I looked it up, and I actually went outside and found examples, and I will show that. These are all wild edibles, but let me preface this by saying, if you're not sure what something is, don't eat it. If you're not sure, don't eat it. Also, I would recommend washing it off before you ate it, especially if you live on a farm like I do and you have roaming animals. I would recommend washing it off before you put it in your mouth, because salmonella and giardia will make you feel very bad. So anyway, so I am going to slot in some video here of me walking around my yard and showing you some of my wild edibles. Okay, so for our science sprinkle this week, I thought I would show y'all a little bit about some of the wildflowers that are blooming in my yard right now. One of the discussions that we've been having online is the difference between dead nettle and henbit. So you can see here the henbit is the one on the, to my right. I guess it'd be to your left. I don't know, watching this. But anyway, it's this one. Notice that the leaves are rounder. They both have the tiny little purple flowers, and they both come up profusely in my lawn. And then the dead nettle has more angular leaves. They still have the purple flowers. So both of these are wild edibles. There is some health benefit to these fresh greens also, but I'm going to walk around and show you these in my lawn so maybe you can help tell the difference. They both have the similar little shaped kind of snapdragon-y looking flowers, but the foliage is distinctive. They're both part of the mint family though, so they have square stems. So here is a really good stand of henbit, and notice the flowers, how deep purple they are. Right behind it is a stand of dead nettle. The dead nettle flowers, even though they're the same shape, are significantly lighter purple. So let's get them in the same frame here. And you can see the difference in the leaf shape. So the henbit has the more softly lobed leaves, plus they make sort of a little circle around, where the dead nettle is more angular. Okay, but they're both great first food for bees, and they make adorable little flowers. They are wild edibles. So let's look at some of the other things. I don't know what this little white flowering grass is called. I'll have to look it up for you, but it has these little stands of white flowers that come up. Then also here we have wild onions, and wild onions are also another wild edible. I do use them. I chop them up and use them like I would use chives. So they actually can form a small bulb on the bottom of them if you dig them up. Okay, here's some blue-eyed grass, and then a little white variation of the blue-eyed grass, and some little wild violets here. Again, edibles, all edibles. The little wild violets would make a nice addition to a salad. Now back here, what I've got is a good stand of wild geese. So here what we've got is some wild ginger. You can see it's just getting ready to bloom there. I've got several little stands of it here in my iris bed. Also mixed in this bed is chickweed. Chickweed is another great wild edible. These ones with the white flowers on it. It's a nutritious green that you can just use as a salad. Here it is mixed in with some dead nettle. Okay, another plant that's back here that's easy to see is, let's find a good, oh, here's a good stand of it. This is Lady's Bed Straw. It's another wild edible, but it kind of has a weird texture. It's not for everybody. It kind of is sticky. Okay, meaning that it's like Velcro. It sticks to itself. And it was used to stuff mattresses with. It smells great. I wish you could smell it. We also have, of course, the traditional wild clover growing up in the lawn here. And then another beneficial wild plant. Well, we have a ladybug tagging along here. A lady beetle. She's hanging out for a ride on me there. Here's another good stand of chickweed. You can see there the leaf shape and a little white flower. So that's another good wild edible. Another favorite in my lawn is narrow-leafed plantain or ribwort that you can see here. Ribwort grows wild in my yard, and here's another stand of it right here. I use this to make a healing salve along with yarrow flowers, but it's also great just if you get stung or a bug bite. You can just take a piece of the leaf and crush it up and rub it on your sting, and it helps denature the venom. So yeah, so this is why I don't mow my lawn right away in the spring, because I would miss all of this bounty that's out here, and plus my bees would miss out on all of this bounty. Hi guys. So that's a little bit of a science sprinkle for you there today. Learn your wild edibles. Learn your wild edibles, because they are definitely worth knowing. Is that good stuff? Yeah, that's good stuff. Yum, 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 yum. Okay, so that's all we're going to talk about for science today. And so now we're going to move on and talk about farm life. Okay, well, like I mentioned here on the farm, I had done a vlog of my spring break activities that you can go and check out if you're interested. Some of the highlights were the horse show with the kids and getting some projects done. But some things I wanted to share with you. First of all, over spring break, I got this great magazine from Arkansas Agriculture that's talking about these farms that are using solar power. That they're utilizing spaces that they can actually take advantage of space on their farms to use solar panels, which I thought was really amazing. And it talks, there's several different companies in here that are talking about how they can help you with solar, but I thought this was really cool. This is a huge shop building down on a big row crop farm. And there was just unused space, and look at all those solar panels that they've got on there. It says that the current, let's see, I was looking to see if there was the current solar use on Arkansas farms often goes unnoticed because they're out of the way like this. So this is down in South Arkansas in the big row crop farming area, but I'm sure that they're making a good amount of money by selling to the utility company. So the article is called Farming the Sun. And so it's not about just providing a power for your farm, it's about providing an income stream as well. The other thing that I wanted to share with you is I got my passport booklet from the Livestock Conservancy. I had mentioned the Shave 'em to Save 'em program that I had heard about from Kim Marie on Kim Marie Nic Nacs, and I got my passport. Here's the passport booklet, and there's different pages for different breeds listed in there. And if you join the Ravelry Group for this, it has a list of designated providers that will provide you stamps. So there's a place to put the date you purchased it, your project, and when you have project completed. And you can get so many stamps and then share that to get a prize. And so there's prize levels for 5 completed, or 5 breeds done, 10 breeds, and then 15 breeds. And then they also sent me this really cool pin with the logo on it. And they also have a Facebook group that you can join to learn more about the providers. So what I think is really amazing about this program is the program allows you to purchase directly from the people who grow the sheep. The links that you will find are directly to the farms where the sheep are, and they do small batch processing of their fleece usually. And if you'll notice, it tells you the country of origin, the current or the micron count, and then the current conservation status. So like the Gulf Coast native sheep are critically endangered, which means I believe that there are less than 500 registered breeding animals in the U.S. I'd have to look up what that status. I had looked it up at one point and I forgot to jot it down. But it tells you how to participate in the program, and then you also get a pamphlet about the Livestock Conservancy, which is a program or is a group that I really want to get involved in. Now, here's the nice thing. The enrollment fee is $15, which helps defray the cost, but you have until, this program is running from January 1st of this year till December 31st of 2021. So you have a long time, over almost 3 years, not quite because we're in March or almost April now. And it says for 15 projects, that's when you have the deadline. But they will continue to give out the 5 and 10 project prizes as long as there are items available. And it says so far 300 items have been donated at the 5 project level, and they are continuing to look for more. There will also be a percentage off coupon codes for everyone who completes projects. So, and then they give you a list of all the breeds that are eligible also in your book. So, yeah. So, and you get to keep your passport, because all you do when you complete your project, you take a photo of it with the passport page and sticker, and you email that in, and that's how you get registered for your completed projects. So I am very excited. I've already been looking at some of the providers on there, and I don't know what order I'm going to work in. I kind of thought that I might, well, I was looking at, I think I've already looked at providers of Lincoln and Lester Longwool and Rommeldale CVM. There's a Jacob American provider here in Arkansas, and then Navajo Churro. But I may start with the most critically endangered. Oh, here it is. Critical list includes sheep whose annual registrations number less than 200 and whose global population is less than 1,000. Threatened includes fewer than 1,000 annual registration and a global population of less than 5,000. And then watch and recovering. So yeah, so this is right now a U.S. only program, but I am very tickled about it, and I am anxious to get started on that. So for $15, really it's a donation because they are a nonprofit and you could write it off on your taxes. But I like the idea of supporting small farmers, so I am definitely going to be all in on this. Let's see. The next thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is kind of a random assortment of stuff. I've got ducklings, as you saw in the vlog. I have 21 ducklings in my spare bedroom right now in a 150-gallon water tank. And I actually need to change their bedding out again tonight because ducklings are incredibly messy. Little PSA, do not buy ducklings or chicks or bunnies for kids for Easter unless you are prepared to take care of them. And ducklings are terribly messy. But as I was straightening up, I had found this little notebook of my dad's. And it's a promotional item from a tobacco company, which is, not very great anymore. But this is pretty old. I don't know how old this is. But it had some notes in it where he was talking about buying hay and stuff. And he drew a guy riding a horse there. That was my dad. Looks like he was drawing a guy riding a horse, and he had a rope, and he was roping some numbers there. That was my dad. You just have to know him. But what I failed to notice until I started looking, this must be from the 60s because it's talking about these ball players from the late 50s and 60s. But anyway, so it has like information on baseball players. My dad was a huge baseball fan. Huge baseball fan. But anyway, what I found as I looked in the back was my dad was drawing out and designing cattle corrals. barn corrals to load cattle with. And there. Now some of this I recognize as my grandpa's writing too, so they must have been using this together, but there was something very profound to me about finding this notebook and finding that about my dad, you know, when my dad first started here on the farm and all of his hopes and dreams and what he was planning and everything, and I hope that in the great beyond he's looking down going, okay, it's not quite the direction I would have gone probably, but okay. But anyway, so it's you know, it's family bloodline is deep here. So to that end, one thing that did not get included in the vlog occurred yesterday. My neighbor over the road has a small bulldozer, and he had stopped over spring break and said, oh, well, I have my dozer up here. If you would like, I will help you doze up that old house that's falling down. Across the road from my house was the house that my grandparents lived in when they moved back from Oklahoma. And they moved into this house about 10 years later. They built the house that I'm in now about 10 years later and moved into it. And that house had just been derelict and it was falling down. I mean, I spent a lot of my growing up years in that house, and I drew all over the walls. My grandmother didn't care. She had sheetrock walls, and I drew all over them. My mother was like, no, you won't do that at my house. And my grandma was like, oh, it's all right. But, you know, it has been an eyesore, and it has been kind of weighing on my heart how bad it looked. And he offered to come and push it up. And I thought, you know, when people say stuff like that, you're like, yeah, well, okay, whatever. But he did. He came yesterday and got started on it. And he actually did some more today. I need to walk down there and look. But I have a little video clip of me walking around down there. You know, it made me feel a certain kind of way, as they say, to see it all piled up. But the old has to give way to the new sometimes. And if I want to move forward with my ultimate goal, which is to have an educational retreat center here, it had to go. And I had to let go of that old, worn out, derelict building that was no longer serving me and move on to something that is. And so I'm excited about it. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I will put the video in that I took of me walking around down there. And I guess that's going to wrap up Farm Life for this week. Since I had all those vlogs, you can go back and watch those if you really want to see. And I'm going to move on now to some final thoughts. Well, this is a big step in the right direction. It's hard to see the house that I spent most of my growing up years in like this, but it needed to be done. So I'm grateful that my neighbor was able to help me. There's an old well right here that I asked him to leave, and to leave this old porch. And then the rest of this we'll throw on there as it burns. It doesn't look like he got too much dirt in it, so we should be able to burn it without too much trouble. A lot of the concrete blocks we'll salvage out of there, like that one is good, so we'll pull that one out of there as we're burning. This needed to be done. It definitely needed to be done. So, you know, I spent a lot of my growing up years in this house, but it was beyond saving. So I'm glad to see it where I can move forward. Okay, this week in final thoughts, I've had a lot of thoughts lately, you know, of course, working toward being a more beautiful, inclusive world, and there have been some horrible things that have happened in the town where I live in, and I'm not going to go into them too much, but suffice it to say, there has been some white supremacist activity here that was appalling and upsetting, and the only upside of that is I have learned that these people that are here are not people from here. They are not one of us. They are not people I have known my whole life. And I will say this about the people on this mountain. We may not agree on much, you know, politically or socially or whatever. But we are all neighbors and we all look out for each other, and there are people rising up against these people, and I'm very grateful for that. And that heartens me in a time when it's so easy to lose heart. So I found this little post on Facebook. It's on one of the, I don't even remember the group that I found it on, but I liked what it had to say. And I think for people who are deep feeling and people who struggle to try to make the world better, it can be a tiresome, sometimes a tiresome event or tiresome vocation, and you sometimes you carry a big burden. So I found this, and it said, an old healer said to the soul, it is not your back that hurts, but the burden. It's not the eyes that pain, but the injustice they see. It's not the head that hurts, but your thoughts. It's not the throat that's in pain, but what you don't say or say with anger. It's not your stomach that hurts, it's everything that you can't digest. It's not the liver that hurts, but the mind. It's not your heart, that pain, but love. And it's love itself, which is the most powerful and effective medicine. So I've been pondering on love and on friendship, fraternal love, you know, friendship, love of family, love of family, my friends who are family. I've been talking to my first cousin, and his wife is very ill, and you know, he's my closest family, and so that love that you feel for your family or your family of choice. So a good friend of mine posted, you know, my old favorite Mary Oliver, and I was thinking about this time of year when the earth is coming back to life and everything is green, and Persephone has returned from the underworld and Demeter has cloaked the world in green. And how you go to the woods, some of us go into the woods to find peace and healing. So I'll leave you with this piece by Mary Oliver. It's how I go to the woods. Ordinarily, I go to the woods alone, with not a single friend, for they are all smilers and talkers, and therefore unsuitable. I don't really want to be witnessed talking to the catbirds or hugging the old black oak tree. I have my way of praying, as you no doubt have yours. Besides, when I am alone, I can become invisible. I can sit on the top of a dune, as motionless as the uprise of weeds, until the foxes run by unconcerned. I can hear the almost unbearable sound of the roses singing. If you have ever gone to the woods with me, I must love you very much. So let's take care of each other until I see y'all again, and be good to each other and love each other. And until I see y'all again, what do you say, Willie? Till I see y'all again, y'all. Peace out, y'all. Bye.